Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining Volpara's quarterly results investor webcast for Q4, covering the 3-month period ending the 31st of March 2021. Joining us today is Group CEO Dr. Ralph Highnam and CFO Craig Hadfield. Before we hand over to Ralph this morning, please be advised all attendees are in a listen-only mode. Today's event will conclude a presentation followed by a Q&A. To ask a question, you can either type it in the Q&A panel below or press raise hand to speak with Ralph and Craig. Today's presentation is being recorded. I would now like to hand over to Dr. Ralph Highnam, Group CEO. Please go ahead.
Cool. Thank you, Trina. Hello, and thank you for your time this morning to hear about our extremely busy and strong Q4 FY 2021, which ended 31st of March earlier this year. Volpara is a health technology company whose integrated breast care platform assists in the delivery of personalised patient care and whose business model is predominantly based on software as a service or SaaS. And we're on a mission to save families from cancer. We're much to cover today, including recapping our Q4 acquisition of CRA Health, traditional 4C cash numbers, which again show strong cash receipts, the SaaS metrics showing strong growth both in the quarter and over the financial year. We're going to do a bit of a deep dive on ARPU because we know that's a subject many investors are interested in. And we're going to talk a little about strategy, some of the recent people changes, and our plans to accelerate out of COVID FY 2022, our new financial year. I'm joined today by Craig Hadfield, our Chief Financial Officer based here in Wellington, and we'll both be available for questions at the end of the main report, which you can ask either by the Q&A function on this Zoom call or by raising your hand to speak verbally. Before we jump into the main commentary, let's note the changing US dollar versus New Zealand dollar. So you'll see we've started to give results in terms of US dollar, New Zealand dollar, and starting to look at some of the changes with constant currency assumptions. Cool. So before we get into the numbers, let's recap around some of the information on CRA Health and the acquisition we did in early February. We acquired Boston-based CRA, who are experts in breast cancer risk and genetics, and with strong technical and commercial integrations into the major electronic health record companies earlier this year. That deal saw us pay $18 million up front with an earnout over the next 18 months. We are well now into a phased integration process with CRA. All the finances, corporate IT, and the more operational aspects are all fully integrated. And we're also now in conjunction with our FY 22 planning, working out how to complete the commercial integration, and we've identified plenty of cross-selling and joint selling opportunities. So one example of where we're going and the power of the combined company, I do recommend that you go on and look at our fantastic new website and look for the recent US Society of Breast Imaging webinar hosted by myself with Dr. Brian Duran from CRA, looking at best practice in breast cancer risk management and how Volpara has the IT platform to help you succeed. That's a theme that Professor Kevin Hughes from Mass General will be picking up on tomorrow at the American Society of Breast Surgeons also, and hopefully we'll release that video to you, our investors, after that show. The acquisition of CRA has put us into a leadership position in the US, and I'd like to thank again the Volpara team that worked so hard on the deal and the team at CRA for working so positively with us throughout the process. As a combined entity, we're well on the way now to be the global leader in cancer prevention software. Now, the 4C numbers we present are mostly what we call organic Volpara, but some do contain contributions from CRA, which we'll point out as we go. Okay, let's review then those 4C cash metrics posted up earlier this morning onto the ASX platform. Very happy to say that during Q4, we had cash receipts from customers of over $5 million. 15% above what we recorded last year, despite our moving from capital to SaaS, the US dollar exchange rates, and the effects of coronavirus. But that does include some cash receipts from the acquisition of CRA. Looking more deeply into those cash receipts shows that the unaudited cash receipts for the year rose over 20% or 24% constant currency, with the all-important subscription-based receipts, which again includes CRA for the last couple of months, up 39% or 46% in constant currency terms. Those receipts demonstrate our resilience as a company, resilience of business model, resilient industry, and the continuing strong demand for our products. During the quarter, we had net operating cash flow or outflow of 3.2 million New Zealand. That is ahead of our internal expectations and well within our budgets. Cash on hand at the end of Q4 was 32.2 million, down from Q3, of course, due to the acquisition of CRA Health during the quarter. We are very happy with how Q4 played out, and we're happy to take questions on that at the end of this call. Let's turn now to the SaaS or recurring revenue metrics. And let me remind you that most new quotes for any of Volpara products are now SaaS, although there are still a few historical capital deals going out, which are capital still. During Q4 then, despite coronavirus and the lack of physical trade shows, we booked our largest ever Q4 for new net sales, adding over $1 million of net new ARR. That was thanks to strong organic sales and deals from CRA Health, taking our total of ARR to 18.6 million, or just under New Zealand $28 million now of that all important recurring revenue. Over the year, our ARR grew 20% organically, which again shows the strength and demand for our products despite COVID-19. Volpara's strong Q4 came from a mix of significant upsells, major new deals, and a continued migration of customers from older versions of the MRS products to the latest one, as well as our biggest deal yet for Volpara Live, our real-time quality control product. Many of the deals were multi-product. As many of you know, the ARPU that we traditionally give is a blended ARPU across our entire install base. And the key to getting the ARPU up is selling not just one product into an account, but selling many products. So very encouraging to see many of these deals now being multi-product. They, of course, those deals as they come in show the appeal of that platform, show the importance of integration of the products and the easy flow of information between those products, but also they illustrate how successful the acquisition of MRS was in June 2019. So although the blended average across the whole install base was $1.40, the range of ARPU in Q4 was $1 for a density-only customer to a big site, to up to $5.50 plus for 2 or 3 products. And again, encouragingly, the average ARPU on new deals in Q4 was US $2.50, way above where that blended ARPU is over that entire install base. Now, to better illustrate our path towards $10 of ARPU, we did include into the 4C cover letter we put out earlier today a list of some of the customers which have that mix of products, some of which are already paying up towards $8 of ARPU, and we're very happy to take questions on them later. They are obviously very important to validate the market size, and we're very encouraged in the direction we're going over the whole financial year, and the deals that we're seeing come through the door now increasingly as a combined company with people buying more and more products. Our net churn of ARR remains low, and we now have one product helping about 32% of the US screening population. That's up around 2% since we acquired CRA Health. That comes from some of the big deals they've signed over this period, including our biggest ever deal as a company, which was 400,000 US ARR. In short then, Q4 was strong despite coronavirus, and we're pleased with the 20% plus organic growth over the financial year, despite the unprecedented challenges, and we're excited about the year ahead, especially due to the tailwinds around risk and genetics. So let's just do a bit of a deeper dive on that subject. A year ago, as COVID-19 hit, we adjusted our US strategies that would continue to sell to breast imaging clinics, but we started looking very seriously at how to generate consumer demand for Volpara level care. And we very much remain committed to empowering women. However, during Q3 and Q4, we saw strong demand for all our products, but especially those associated with risk and genetics, which do require a strong B2B sales focus. There are strong tailwinds in the US now around risk and genetics, ranging from the CDC to the American College of Radiology. It's those dynamics, along with our strategic desire to work more closely with the EHRs to expand our addressable market, that led us to acquiring CRA earlier this year. Now, as a result of those changing dynamics in the market and our strategic realignment to accelerate sales growth through to B2B channels over this next period, Catherine Singsong has now left the company, and we thank her for helping us put the patient at the heart of all our thinking. We remain on track to launch Project Farm later this year. We'll see us putting patient images directly into patient letters to better inform women about their breast health, and we remain very excited about these initiatives to drive demand for Volpara from consumers, driving the empowerment of women, and thus driving the knowledge about breast cancer and early detection into the people that know it most. Separately to that specific change, our VP Sales, Deborah Saunders of the US, Deborah Saunders told us in December she was looking to retire once we ended the financial year, which we obviously now have. So over the last few months, we did an industry-wide review of key people in US breast imaging as part of our thinking about FY22, given that revised strategic thinking, especially around risk and genetics. And I'm delighted to say that Jill Spear, who's been a major part of GE's breast imaging team for many years, has joined the company as EVP Sales and Marketing USA. Jill is based in North Carolina. She's very well known to us, extremely well networked within our addressable market, and very driven to ensure that all women have cancers detected early. We will be including her into these investor calls as she comes up onto speed with how the ASX operates. In the meantime, we'll be putting out a newsletter over the next couple of weeks, which will highlight Jill's profile, highlight some of the exceptional talent we've now have on board via CRA, and we'll highlight some of the team that Jill has brought with her across from GE, who are due to start with us next week. So look, as we enter FY22, we're thankfully seeing signs of stability coming out of our key market now, the US. And our key phrase to describe FY22 is it's very much about accelerating out of COVID. And to that end, we're confident in strong revenue growth. And we do aim to be providing guidance this year. And we'll do that at the end of May when we announce our full year results. So with that, I'd really like to open up the floor to questions. So Trina, over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Ralph. We'll now commence the Q&A session. Just a reminder that if you wish to ask a question, you can enter your question in the Q&A panel or raise your hand to speak with Ralph or Craig. The first question is about Catherine. Can you please explain reasons as to why she left the organisation? She has only been employed less than a year, and the fact that she's out already does not look credible to an investor.
Yep, thanks, Trina, for that. That's a good question. And as we touched on in the release we did a couple of weeks ago, and the explanation we just put out, our long-term strategy is to grow sales through both B2B and B2C channels, but we need to allocate our focus and resources to where where it's commercially most valuable now to accelerate sales growth. That now is with risk and genetics, both through the EHRs and as part of our integrated breast health platform. And that's going to be predominantly driven over this next period through that B2B sales strategy, directly engaging the relevant key decision makers. For that reason, that shifting strategy, it just made sense for us to part ways and move in different directions than Catherine ideally wanted to go in. Part of our mantra as a company is being bold, and we again thank Catherine for all her efforts during the year and helping put patient thinking right at the heart of what we do. But our focus over this next period has to be B&B, and that's the rationale for the change.
Thanks, Ralph. Next question. Can you please split out what cash flows came from organic Volpara and what cash flows came from the acquisition?
Yep. And the overall kind of number is around that 20% organic growth. But Craig, do you want to talk to that one?
Yeah, just on the cash receipts specifically for Q4, I don't have the specific number at hand, but it was very immaterial out of the $5.4 million we reported. There were only a few months, so it was only a few $100,000. We will look towards our annual report presentation to splitting out the organic cash receipts there.
Thanks, Craig. Next question. What is the retention rate of Volpara's subscription offering?
Yeah, I'll answer that one. In terms of the Volpara SaaS products, predominantly Density, Enterprise, and Live, and we've had very, very low churn in all of those over the last few years. And we're coming up now, we've been getting some excellent renewals through from people that have been using the product for 3-4 years. So I think, fair to say it's been very low. We did see increased churn over this last year. We do a deep dive whenever we see churn. And for example, one case which comes to mind was one where we got a deal a year and a half ago. We went to implement in March 2020. At that point, the COVID hit, and IT at that particular institute in the US went into lockdown effectively. And by the time they come back round, the champion at that site had moved on, and the incoming champion didn't see the value. And so we kind of never even got going at that site. But I think fair to say, if we get installed, we get into the processes, we really do have a very sticky product for all the products we sell on a SaaS basis.
Thanks, Ralph. Just another clarification on Catherine. Did she leave voluntarily?
Yeah, so as we've talked around, right, Catherine left the company as a result of that strategic realignment. I think fair to say it was a company decision, but obviously under confidentiality laws, we're not really able to disclose further details at this time.
Next question. Why can't you focus on both B2C and B2B sales channels?
Yeah, that is a great question, and but one of the reasons we've been very successful as a company, and this is a key word that keeps coming up into my mind a lot, and it has over the last year, is focus. Yeah, we need to focus as a company. We've got this whole core here. We've focused on breast, for example. We've got 10% or 10% of our ARR is actually from lung cancer. But we're going to succeed as a relatively small company in this world by focusing. So we are focusing at the moment very much on breast, as we've talked about. We are very much focusing on SaaS. We're very much focusing on the US and on Australia and New Zealand. And as part of that, then we really do need to focus all our resources and efforts onto what we've just talked about, which is B2B. We're not walking away from B2C, and we're really excited about the stuff we're doing, launching later this year, October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But we want our salespeople, we want our marketing budgets, we want all of that focused onto B2B, which is where we really see a lot of commercial opportunity in this risk and genetics space.
Thanks, Ralph. We have a hand raised from Scott Power, so I'm just going to unmute you.
Hi, Ralph and Craig, can you hear me okay?
We can, Scott.
Yeah, terrific. Well done on that terrific result. I'm just wondering if I could get you to make some comments around the ARPU. You've provided some very interesting details on different customers. So I'm looking at that particular slide, and I can see there customer 3 where you've got they've got sort of 4 of your products, and you've got an ARPU sitting there of $7.83. Could you tell us a little bit more about that particular customer in terms of what attracted them to grab all that, and perhaps explain some of the other sort of key reasons why your customers are going to continue to add to their portfolio of existing products? Because obviously, as you said in your presentation, ARPU is the key. We're all watching it very carefully, and what you're showing here is that there's very good jump up in ARPU for individual customers. So I'm just sort of looking for a bit more sort of commentary around that.
Yep, Scott, that customer number 3 is one very, very well known to me and the company. That's been a company that's been using our breast density product for many, many years. I think actually 2012, 2013 or so. I think they came on board with breast density. They loved breast density. So in 2017, I think it was, that they came on and got into the what we called enterprise, but what we now call analytics world, and that they were already a MRS customer, so they had MRS installed as well. And the thing they loved about analytics, which is one of the key kind of differentiators for us as a company, is analytics combines density and it combines that old MRS product into a very integrated workflow. So they were very attracted to analytics because they had Patient Hub, because they liked density, and because they saw that whole integrated workflow. They also, though, are a very innovative breast imaging center in California. They've seen this real push away from just cum screening every year towards risk-based screening. And they've also seen how the power of genetics testing and spotting some of these BRCA carriers and really getting ahead of the game and spotting some of those high-risk women and getting them the care they need. So it's been it's been a gradual journey with them, and some of the key points that come across, talk to them, talk to other customers that are buying multi-products, is the fact is, if they're buying all these from one vendor, they're getting great flow of information between each and every one of those products, and that makes the whole IT workflow very, very smooth. So yeah, they've been being a very loyal customer, and we're actually very hopeful now going back and selling them some of the other products that we've got in our bag, and then taking that ARPU in particular up towards $10, if not over $10. And again, the reason they'll buy some of the other products from us is because that whole integrated IT workflow that we provide.
So how influential might some of these customers be in terms of telling other networks about what they're achieving? You're sort of talking positively in terms of FY22 and things opening up and all that. I'm just trying to get a sense of how quickly this can sort of roll through the rest of your network, and somebody that's got analytics can then jump on and grab risk and CRA. What's that sort of momentum looking like?
Yep. So Scott, this is a huge focus for Jill. She's very focused on that install base. Next week, we significantly ramp up our marketing team with 2 of her colleagues from GE joining us, and their job is to really get all those user case studies out there and pumping. So if you start watching our website, start watching our social media, you're going to start to see that getting much, much more active, and you're going to start to see us doing a huge amount more work focusing on that install base, getting those stories out there, and getting these upgrades moving. That particular customer you're talking about there, customer 3, is pretty influential in one area of California, but obviously we've already got these big customers like MSK over in New York, MD Anderson down in Texas, and so on, that we want to start telling their stories as well to the wider audiences. So yeah, that is a big focus of ours, getting the ARPU up, getting people buying these extra products. And we really do believe now we've kind of got that critical mass in terms of good user stories, that we can really really see a lot of upselling this coming year, as a true SaaS company should be.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Ralph, and congratulations on a great result.
Cool, thank you.
Thanks for your question, Scott. Next question. What is the opportunity in genetics? How many women? What is the level of women who currently have genetics testing? Where do you think it can get to?
Yep, that's a great question. We've learned a lot about genetics over the last year. So one of our viewpoints for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's entirely correct, is most breast cancer is not related to genetics. However, if you do have the genetics, if you do have the BRCA genes, you're extremely high risk of breast cancer, and you really do need high risk screening. From the estimates we've seen, it's around 10% of women or so qualify on the basis of their risk for genetics testing, and that genetics testing is paid for by the US government. And you now have groups like CDC out there saying, all women should have risk assessment and genetics testing done at least each year. Now, some of the health economics are slightly weird around genetics. For example, the genetics companies cannot pay the breast imaging centers for genetics testing, but the breast imaging sites know that some of their women need it. They know that they need to be cutting edge, so they're very proud to be associated with some of these genetics companies. But in many ways, it's our job to mediate that kind of relationship. And in many ways, it's our job to help these genetics companies understand the radiology world, which is obviously the world that we've been living in for many years. So so it's around 10% or so. So if you do a risk model, such as tyrocusic or tyrocusic 8 in particular, where Volpara is validated, insurers will pay for that genetics testing. The flow, the economic flow is kind of a mixed one. In some cases, a genetics company will pay us to install software into a breast imaging site to give them state-of-the-art risk assessment and state-of-the-art genetics testing. And in other cases, we get paid for each one that actually goes on for genetics testing. So interesting economic models there. In terms of kind of ballpark ARPU numbers, it kind of works out to be equivalent to one of our other kind of modules that we offer at one of these sites. So it's pretty substantial. And obviously, if we get an upsell into one of our sites doing risk, it's quite a lot of upside there for us. But equally, alongside with that commercial one, some of the results we've seen from some of those sites in terms of finding women with the BRCA genes have been pretty staggering. And it's very clear there's a lot of women out there, there's a lot of breast cancers developing in women with BRCA genes, which we can really help detect early. So we're looking at this very much from a customer care, but also as a commercial opportunity.
Thanks, Ralph. Next question. What is your feeling with regards to the current regulatory environment? Are there any changes on the horizon that would impact demand positively or negatively for Volpara's product?
Yeah, so I mean, a year ago, right, we're talking a lot about the FDA due to come out with a breast density announcement in October. That got delayed, and in October the US was busy with elections, coronavirus. The FDA was busy with vaccines and so on. In January of this year, the FDA came out and on their website and said, "Yep, it's still kind of in play, and it's coming if approved at some point." But whenever administrations change, there's always a delay as the new administration gets its head around where the FDA is, what it's doing, and what it wants to do. So no further update on that. But what we do have an update on, obviously, is that the big dynamic that we've seen over this last year in the US in particular is the CDC coming out and pushing risk assessment and genetics testing. The American College of Radiology coming out and saying all women should get risk assessment at age 30. And then groups like CMS, which sets reimbursement levels, saying that what they're starting to seriously consider, and they're planning how to introduce a quality metric based around the number of times you do risk assessment on women. So there's the breast density kind of tailwind, which is due out at some point. But in the background, then, we very much have these tailwinds from CDC, American College of Radiology, and CMS, which is really which really caused us to realign strategically and really focus in that direction as quickly as we could.
Next question. How has the market received the lung cancer MRS offering? Have you seen interest due to COVID?
We certainly have seen interest in terms of COVID, and lung has I think grown probably slightly over the last year. But again, our focus this year has been very much on breast, and we've not really given lung the focus it really deserves. We have offered enhancements to the product. It is a SaaS product, so we obviously want to keep on improving it. So we've just updated it for the new lung reporting standards. We've put in some templates around COVID as well, but really lung now needs some real serious focus from us as a company to really get up to the level where we believe it should truly be. And as per our update, probably 4 or 5 weeks ago now, it's very well worth noting that the number of people eligible for lung cancer screening has now doubled in the US, thanks to changes in the insurance eligibility codes. So it is a growing market, and it is an area where we very much need to put more focus into. But I think mentally at the moment it's still breast, but we're trying to make some space, and we're talking to other companies in that lung space to try and work out how to make a much more compelling offering, how to expand that sales team, and how to really start ramping up the ARR as lung cancer screening starts to take off.
Thanks, Ralph. Next question. Can you discuss what new products or opportunities are on the horizon based on where the market is going?
Yep, we can certainly do that, and we are obviously we have a whole range of products at the moment, and one of our we're a very innovative company. We have a huge number of ideas. So again, focus and keeping things focused is a key really to my job and to Craig's job. So there's a range of innovations coming down the road. That they range from innovations that make the whole platform stronger, i.e. more innovative, also more integrated, so information flowing from live into density, flowing into analytics and so on. So there's a lot of those. There's a brand new release of analytics coming out, which will probably be on one of our biggest upgrades for many years, and we're very much looking forward to that one coming out. We've accumulated a huge amount of very happy users on enterprise analytics, and it's time to take it up a level now based on all that feedback. But then, just slightly beyond that, and going back to what we talked about earlier, we believe there's a big clinical need out there in terms of explaining information to patients. We are launching Project FUM in October of this year, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. That will see, for the first time, these breast cancer, the images actually appearing in the patient letter, so that this information about breast density is not just in boring kind of black and white text, which no one reads. It's actually there in pictorial fashion for people to actually look at and understand. And personally, I'm very excited about getting that product out the door. It's a very kind of innovative product, and it's a key differentiator that we can do because of the platform that other people cannot do. But then as we get into that space, and I'm not sure if you've seen it on our social media or so, but over the last couple of weeks, there was a great paper came out about AI, and that paper basically looked at 100 AI products and the clinical validation of those AI products, and clearly showed that Volpara was way above anyone else in terms of validation, which is understandable given it's been 300 plus papers now that we've published. But a lot of those papers have been published on change over time. So at the moment, a lot of what we do is focused on one time point. Going forward, we've got innovations, we've got all this images into the patient letter, but going forward, we want to be moving towards change over time and being with the patient throughout our patient health journey, right from risk assessment age 30, all the way through showing change over time and flagging up issues as and when they occur. Now, there's a lot of research to be done before we get there, but the clinical validation is in place. The AI team that we've got is outstanding, and we have a fantastic IP portfolio sitting around what we do. So yeah, very exciting kind of year 2, 3, 4, 5 years ahead of us, and we fully intend to keep innovating.
Thanks, Ralph. The next question is in regards to Jill Spear and what skills she can bring to Volpara.
Yep, Jill is someone we've known for probably 8, 9 years. She is a fantastic leader, sales and marketing leader. She's highly experienced in breast imaging. She's probably spent the last 10, 15 years of her career at GE in breast imaging, working for X-ray, working for 2D X-ray, working on tomosynthesis, and then more recently leading the GE breast ultrasound team. Jill has got an amazing network. I used to think I've got an amazing network in terms of knowing breast radiologists across the US and the globe, but Jill really puts a lot of my knowledge into light, and she's got fantastic knowledge, fantastic commercial expertise in our space, and also she's come into it as a real expert on B2B, but also as a real expert on breast density. She knows breast density inside, outwards, and backwards. And one of the things that really attracted Jill to us was talking to our customers and seeing how happy many of them were. But also, given GE's background, a lot of what we do is we are a trusted advisor to breast imaging centers. We provide them with objective automated scoring, and then we work with the center to help them understand what to do with women at high risk or what to do women with high density. And that is Jill's world. Jill knows that to get women the ultrasound that some of these dense breasted women, for example, really need, then many more sites need to be doing more risk assessment. They need to have better breast density scoring. So Jill was very successful at GE, but she realized that a lot of the success of where GE is going, for example, really relies on companies like Volpara really rolling out their software across the US and making sure you're doing state-of-the-art breast density scoring and state-of-the-art risk assessment. And then you're wrapping those kind of numbers around with programs to tell these sites what to do. And really, the team that Jill's building and bringing over with her from GE are world experts at building those programs to ensure that our customers are successful with our products.
Thanks, Ralph. Just one final question before we wrap up the Q&A session. What is the update on the pending breast density legislation in the US, if any?
As we put it out in a release a few weeks ago, January, the FDA reiterated that it very much was still actively considering it. But as we've already talked about, whenever a new administration comes in, they take time to get their head around where they are and where they're going, and it's still in that process. So we're expecting an update, and we will let people know as soon as we hear them. But in the meantime, we've got the ACR, CMS, and CDC all generating fantastic tailwinds for us, and our big push into B2B and risk and genetics.
Thanks, Ralph. We'll just actually have one final question. On the back of the very successful outcomes from the DENSE study, could you talk more to the initiatives to have Volpara's offerings gain more traction in the broader global public health programs run by governments?
Yep. So DENSE, the first results and then the second ones, which came out in February of this year, are simply outstanding. The number of nasty cancers they're picking up early in extremely dense breasted women is excellent. That did directly lead to at least one of those states over in Australia buying Volpara products, and that's waiting implementation whilst Queensland is up and running. I can tell you there's a lot of discussions going on in the background with state programs around the world. They very much are looking at DENSE. They are looking at, they're taking the DENSE results, they're looking at the densities of their populations, they're working out, okay, how many interval cancers would this prevent? How many late stage cancers would that prevent? How many lives would it save, and how much money would they save in treatment? So there's a lot of interesting dynamics sitting behind the scenes as they work through those results in terms of their own populations. So yeah, no big new deals at this point, but a lot of activity as these big state programs work through it. And again, one of the interesting things of Volpara as a company is we have the platform to deliver, not just density or not just risk, but to deliver integrated density straight into risk, straight into scorecards, and straight into an analytics package for them to really investigate.
Thanks, Ralph. That concludes our Q&A session. For those people who have written a question, but we were unable to answer, we will get back to you directly. The company will. I'll hand that back over now to yourself, Ralph, for final remarks.
Thanks, Trina. Look, it's been a fantastic Q4, very strong FY year, and we will, as we said, give out guidance at the end of May. And we're very much looking forward to the year ahead. Jill Spear is going to be a massive addition to the team. I realise some of these changes were unexpected, but we've got to be bold, we've got to focus, and we've got to add, put the resources where we see the most commercial opportunity over the short to medium term, which is kind of what we've done. We are going to do a newsletter pretty soon, which will give you many more details about Jill, but also about some of the amazing talent that we've acquired in Boston in CRA Health. If you want to check Jill out a bit more, please do go on LinkedIn and you'll see her incredibly impressive profile on there. Into the newsletter will expand as well, not just on Jill, but on some of the other people that are coming into the team from GE and so on. Now, I do notice there's quite a few Q&A still queued up there, but we are running out of time. So as Trina said, we've made our name, I think, over the last 4 or 5 years by being transparent and being open and being accessible. We are going to be talking a lot over the next couple of weeks to various broker groups, plus we're doing a big call in next Thursday, I think it was, with Matt McNara over in Melbourne. So there's lots of opportunities to hear us, and I'm sure we'll touch on some of these subjects again, but we will try and answer all the questions that come over to us in the most honest and open, transparent way that we can. So look, with that, thanks again for your time today. As you can tell, we have a remarkably resilient business helping millions of women each year. Thank you for continued interest in our mission to save families from cancer. And we look forward very much to talking more over the next few weeks and talking about our full year results at the end of May. So with that, thank you very much.